Leistan Ivermarananga. Oh, and Ixus. Look, every single day you're either moving closer to your goals or you're feeding yourself excuses. And let's be honest here, excuses are lies you tell yourself. They make you feel good in the moment, but they keep you stuck. Excuses are nothing more than stories that justify why you're not taking action. I don't have enough time. I'm too tired. I'll start tomorrow. You know what those are. Weakness. Comfort. Fear disguised as logic. Successful people, they don't live in excuses. They live in reality. They face the truth head on, even when it's ugly, even when it's painful. They ask themselves what needs to be done right now, and then they do it. No negotiation, no whining, no hesitation. Here's the truth: nobody cares about your excuses. The world rewards results, not reasons. You don't get a trophy for almost. You don't get paid for trying. You either show up or you don't. Period. So stop making excuses and start making progress. Stop waiting for the perfect time, because it will never come. The perfect time is no W. Every single morning you wake up, you've got a choice: keep lying to yourself or hold yourself accountable. You want freedom? Discipline yourself. You want success? Eliminate excuses. You want respect from others and from yourself. Take action when you don't feel like it. That's the difference between mediocrity and greatness. Excuses, let's get real about them. Every single excuse you've ever told yourself was never the truth. It was never about what you couldn't do. It was about what you wouldn't do. See, excuses are these little stories you spin in your head to protect yourself. They make you feel safe. They make you feel justified. But the truth, they're lies. Lies you tell yourself so you don't have to face discomfort. Lies that keep you from taking action. You wrap them up in logic and reasons that sound believable, but deep down, you know they're not the truth. They're just comfortable lies. Think about it. Every time you say, I don't have enough time, is that really true? Or is it that you didn't make time? Every time you say, I'm too tired, is that reality? Or is it that you didn't prioritize your energy, your rest, your discipline? You see, when you say, I can't, what you really mean is, I won't. That's the harsh reality most people don't want to face. Excuses are nothing more than fear disguised as logic. They let you feel smart while you sabotage yourself. Excuses live in comfort. They're like a warm blanket you wrap yourself in. They tell you, stay here, don't take the risk, don't face the pain, don't do the work. And yeah, in the short term, it feels good. You don't push yourself. You don't face the anxiety. You don't feel the resistance. But that comfort, it's a trap. It's quicksand. Because while you're cozy with your excuses, time is passing. Opportunities are slipping away, and the life you want is moving further and further out of reach. Now let's look at growth. Growth is on the other side of those lies. Growth only happens when you step outside comfort and face reality. Reality doesn't care about your stories. Reality doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care about your feelings. It only rewards action, discipline, and consistency. You want to grow? You've got to call out your own lies. You've got to look yourself in the mirror and say, that excuse I've been telling myself, it's bullshit. Because the moment you strip away the lie, you're left with the truth. And the truth is you can. You just didn't want to. Every person who ever succeeded at something big had excuses lined up, just like you. They had reasons why they couldn't. They had obstacles in their way. They had doubts. They had fear. But here's the difference. They didn't buy into their own excuses. They didn't sell themselves on their own lies. They recognized them for what they were, just noise in the mind. And they acted anyway. That's what separates mediocrity from mastery. It's not that successful people never had excuses. It's that they never believed them. The worst part of excuses is this: they rob you of self-respect. Every time you tell yourself a lie and then buy into it, a part of you knows. A part of you knows you could have done more. A part of you knows you chose comfort over courage. And when that becomes a habit, you stop trusting yourself. You stop believing in your own word. And when you can't even believe yourself, how can you expect anyone else to? Excuses weaken your character one by one until you've built a life of regret. So here's the deal. Every excuse you tell yourself, stop and ask, is this the truth? Or is this a lie dressed up as logic? Be ruthless. Be honest. Call yourself out. Because if you keep buying into excuses, you're buying into weakness. And weakness never built greatness. Weakness never created freedom. Weakness never made dreams come true. Only courage does that. Only honesty does that. And honesty begins when you stop lying to yourself with excuses. Successful people, they don't live in fantasy land. They don't sit around listening to their feelings. They don't wait until they feel like it. They act on reality. They deal with what is, not what they wish it was. And that's what separates them from everybody else. The average person lets emotions run their life. I don't feel motivated. I don't feel confident. I don't feel ready. Guess what? If you're waiting on feelings, you'll be waiting forever because feelings are fleeting. Feelings change every 5 minutes. If you build your life on emotions, you'll never build anything stable because your foundation is sand. Reality is hard. Reality is cold. Reality doesn't care about your mood. But here's the truth: reality is also fair. If you put in the work, you get results. If you stay disciplined, you grow. If you take consistent action, doors open. It's not about how you feel, it's about what you do. Successful people understand this. They wake up tired, and they do it anyway. They feel fear, and they move forward anyway. They face obstacles, and instead of crying about it, they say, "What's the solution?" They stay grounded in reality. Think about the gym. Most people don't feel like working out every day. They don't feel like eating clean. They don't feel like pushing through pain. But the ones who get results, they don't ask their feelings for permission. They know reality. If they skip, they get weaker. If they slack, they lose progress. If they make excuses, nothing changes. The body doesn't lie. It reflects the reality of your choices. And life works the exact same way. Now here's the kicker: reality will always check you. If you ignore it, it will slap you in the face eventually. Skip work long enough, you lose your job. Ignore your health, you pay with sickness. Disrespect your relationships, they fall apart. That's reality. Successful people don't wait for reality to punish them. They get ahead of it. They look at the facts, not the fantasies. They deal with what is, not what they hope it will magically become. And that's why they win. Feelings are a terrible master. Because feelings will talk you out of greatness every single day. Feelings whisper lies like, rest a little longer, start tomorrow. It's not that important. If you listen, you stay average. But successful people, they know feelings are just noise. They don't let emotions control the mission. They flip it. They use action to create new feelings. They take steps forward, and then they feel proud. They show discipline, and then they feel confident. They know action drives emotion, not the other way around. And this is where most people screw it up. They think they need to feel motivated before they can move. No, that's backwards. You move first. You face reality. You do what's necessary, whether you like it or not. And once you do, the feelings follow. You feel momentum. You feel energy. You feel strong. But none of that comes until after you act. Successful people have mastered this simple truth. Reality doesn't bend for your feelings. But your feelings can shift when you confront reality head on. At the end of the day, reality is your best ally. It won't flatter you. It won't sugarcoat things, but it will guide you. Reality says, do the work. Reality says, face the truth. Reality says, this is what it takes. Successful people listen. They align with reality, not with excuses, not with moods, not with temporary emotions. And that's why they stay consistent. That's why they get results. And that's why they rise to the top while everybody else is still sitting around waiting to feel like it. Here's the hard truth most people don't want to hear. Nobody cares about your reasons. Nobody cares about your excuses. Nobody's giving out gold stars for effort. The world only rewards results. You don't get a promotion because you tried. You don't get paid because you meant well. You don't achieve success because you had good intentions. All that matters is what you produce. That's it, period. Think about it. If you order food at a restaurant, do you care if the chef had a rough day? Do you care if the waiter was tired? Do you care if the delivery driver had car trouble? No. You care about one thing: did you get your meal, yes or no? Life works the same way. People might sympathize with your struggles for a moment, but at the end of the day, the world measures you by what you deliver. Results are the currency of life. The problem is, most people hide behind explanations. They think if they tell a good enough story, it makes up for their lack of results. But I almost did, except I tried, but then you hear this all the time. But here's the reality: those stories don't matter. They don't change the outcome. You still didn't deliver. You still didn't follow through. You still don't have the result, and no amount of excuses will fill that gap. Successful people understand this. That's why they don't waste energy explaining why they fell short. They take ownership. They say, I didn't get it done. That's on me. And then they fix it. They adjust. They figure it out. They know the world isn't handing out sympathy checks. They know nobody's going to rescue them. They know if they want respect, freedom, and success, they've got to produce results consistently, no matter what. Here's the other thing: when you stop leaning on excuses, you gain power. Because excuses make you weak. They put the blame somewhere else, on time, on circumstances, on other people. But when you strip that away and say, it's on me, I didn't deliver, you put yourself back in control. Because if it's your responsibility, then you also have the power to change it. Responsibility equals power. Excuses equal weakness. That's the difference. Look at athletes. Nobody cares if a player was tired, or if they had a headache, or if they had personal problems. Fans care about one thing: did they perform? Did they deliver when it mattered? Champions step on the field and produce results regardless of what's going on in their personal life. That's why they're champions. That's why people respect them. They don't lean on excuses. They show up and get it done. And that's the same standard life holds you to, whether you like it or not. So stop thinking your reasons matter. Stop thinking anyone cares about your excuses. They don't. And they never will. All the world sees is the scoreboard. Did you win or did you lose? Did you show up or did you fold? Did you get the result or did you let yourself off the hook? That's it. The sooner you face that truth, the sooner you stop wasting time explaining and start putting all that energy into producing. Because results speak louder than words, and results will always get you further than the best excuse you could ever come up with. The perfect time, people waste their whole lives waiting for it. They say, I'll start when I have more money. I'll start when I'm less busy. I'll start when I feel ready. But here's the reality: the perfect time doesn't exist. It's a fantasy. A lie your mind tells you to justify procrastination. If you're waiting for everything to line up before you take action, you're going to be waiting forever. The only time you actually have is now, this moment, right here. Right now, that's all you control. Think about it: life is never going to slow down. There's never going to be a moment when all your problems disappear, when all your doubts vanish, when all your obstacles magically clear out of the way. There will always be something: stress, responsibility, bills, challenges, fear. If you're waiting for the perfect conditions, you're really just giving yourself permission to do nothing. And while you're waiting, life keeps moving. Time keeps ticking. Opportunity keeps slipping through your fingers. Successful people know this. They don't wait. They act. They understand that conditions will never be perfect, so they start with what they have, where they are. They move forward even if the timing feels messy, even if the resources aren't all there, even if the plan isn't complete. They know progress beats perfection every single time. Because here's the truth: starting messy beats not starting at all. You can fix, you can adjust, you can learn. But you can't improve on something that never even began. The perfect time is an illusion because perfection itself doesn't exist. There's no perfect plan, no perfect opportunity, no perfect path. There's only the path you're willing to walk. Waiting for perfection is really just waiting for comfort. It's waiting for fear to disappear. But fear doesn't go away, you move through it. Fear shrinks when you take action, and the longer you wait, the stronger fear grows. The antidote to fear isn't waiting. It's moving now. Look at anyone who's accomplished something great. Do you think they had the perfect setup? Do you think they felt completely ready? No. They started when they were scared. They started when they were broke. They started when they were uncertain. And because they started, they figured it out along the way. That's how growth works. You don't wait until you're ready. You start, and through starting, you become ready. Action creates clarity. Movement creates momentum. Here's the harsh truth every time you say, I'll do it later. What you're really saying is, it's not important enough to me right now. That's the real meaning behind procrastination. And if you keep living that way, later becomes never. Think about all the dreams that died because someone said, I'll start when the time is right. How many businesses never opened? How many books never got written? How many relationships never grew? All because someone was waiting for a day that never came. So, stop waiting. Stop lying to yourself about the perfect moment. It's not coming. The perfect time is right now, with all the imperfection, with all the obstacles, with all the fear. Now is the only time you can act. Now is the only time you can build momentum. Now is the only time that counts. If you're serious about your goals, if you're serious about changing your life, then you've got to stop waiting for perfect and start moving with what you've got right where you are. Because the perfect time is not someday. The perfect time is today. Everybody talks about waiting for the right moment. They say things like, I'll start when the timing is better. I'll go after my goals when I'm more prepared. I'll take action when I feel ready. But let me tell you something: the right moment does not exist. It never has and it never will. The perfect time is a myth. It's nothing more than a delay tactic your mind uses to protect you from discomfort. It feels smart. It feels logical. But the truth is, it's fear. Fear dressed up as strategy. Life doesn't stop moving just because you're hesitating. Time keeps going whether you take action or not. Opportunities are passing you by every single day you wait. And here's the thing: life doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care about your delays. It doesn't care that you're waiting for things to settle down. It only rewards the people who act. It only rewards the ones who step into the arena, even when the timing is messy, even when they don't have everything figured out. You want proof? Look at any successful person. They didn't wait for the stars to align. They didn't wait until they had every detail perfectly planned. They started. They moved forward while scared, while uncertain, while unprepared. And because they started, they figured it out. Because they acted, they learned what worked and what didn't. Because they took steps, doors opened that never would have opened if they were still sitting around waiting for someday. Perfection is the ultimate trap. You think you're waiting for the right time, but what you're really doing is avoiding responsibility. You're protecting yourself from failure, from criticism, from pain. But here's the irony. By waiting for perfection, you guarantee failure. You guarantee regret because perfection never comes. And while you're waiting, life keeps moving. Others who are less prepared, less talented, less ready than you, they're taking action. They're making progress. And before you know it, they've passed you by, not because they were better, but because they stopped waiting. Fear convinces you to delay. It whispers, wait until tomorrow, wait until it feels safer, wait until you're confident. But confidence doesn't come before action. Confidence comes from action. You only feel ready after you've started, after you've stumbled, after you've failed and gotten back up. Readiness is not a prerequisite, it's a result. And if you're sitting around waiting for courage to magically appear, you'll be waiting your whole life. The only way to get courage is to move now, even while afraid. Every excuse tied to timing is just another way of saying, I'm not willing to face the discomfort yet. And the more you repeat that pattern, the more it becomes your identity. You become the person who always delays, who always says later, who always finds a reason to wait. But later turns into never. And the dreams you thought you'd eventually chase, they rot, they fade, and you're left with nothing but regret, wondering what your life could have been if you'd only started when you had the chance. So let's strip it down to the truth. The perfect time is an illusion. There's no perfect day, no perfect plan, no perfect moment where everything lines up. The only perfect time is the one you're in right now, today, this minute. Because now is the only thing you can control. The only way to build momentum, the only way to make progress, the only way to grow is to act in the present. Stop waiting. Stop stalling. Stop lying to yourself about tomorrow. The perfect time will never come. The only time is now. Discipline, that's the word most people run from, but it's the very thing that separates winners from losers. Excuses crumble when discipline shows up. It's because discipline doesn't ask, do you feel like it? Discipline doesn't care about your mood. Discipline is about doing what needs to be done, whether you're tired, whether you're scared, whether you're motivated or not. Discipline says, I'm committed to this. I show up no matter what. And when you live that way, excuses don't stand a chance. Excuses are weak. They're fragile. They only survive in the absence of structure. But when you build discipline into your life, when you create habits and standards, you eliminate the space for excuses to breathe. Because now you're not negotiating with yourself anymore. It's not a debate. It's not an option. It's a standard. People who lack discipline live in constant negotiation with themselves. Should I go to the gym today? Should I get up early? Should I work on my goals? That mental back and forth is where excuses win. But disciplined people, they don't debate, they just do it. Accountability is the second half of the equation. Because discipline without accountability is fragile. You need to hold yourself to a higher standard. And sometimes you need people around you who won't accept your excuses either. Accountability forces you to show up. It forces you to follow through. When you tell someone you're going to do something and they expect results, suddenly your excuses sound a lot weaker. Accountability sharpens discipline. Together, they make excuses irrelevant. Think about the military. Soldiers don't ask themselves if they feel like training. They don't negotiate with their emotions. They operate on discipline and accountability. There's a system. There's structure. There's someone checking, pushing, demanding excellence. That's why soldiers can do extraordinary things under pressure. They've been conditioned to rely on discipline, not emotion. And that same principle applies to success in any area of life, business, fitness, relationships, you name it. Discipline also builds trust in yourself. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, every time you do the thing you said you would, even when it's hard, you build self-respect. You build confidence. You create a pattern of reliability inside yourself. And that's powerful because now you're not just motivated, you're unstoppable. You know you can count on yourself because your actions prove it. Excuses, on the other hand, destroy that trust. They make you doubt yourself. They weaken your character. Discipline rebuilds what excuses tear down. And here's the truth: success isn't about intensity. It's about consistency. Anyone can get fired up for a day or a week or a month. But discipline is what keeps you going year after year. Discipline is what keeps you focused when the excitement is gone, when nobody's clapping, when it's just you and the grind. Excuses fade when discipline takes over. Because discipline doesn't rely on hype, it relies on commitment. And commitment is what produces long-term results. So if you want to kill excuses, stop relying on motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline and accountability are what last. Build routines, build standards. Surround yourself with people who won't tolerate your excuses. Hold yourself to promises that you refuse to break. That's how you destroy weakness. That's how you build strength. So that's how you replace excuses with results. Discipline is the hammer. Accountability is the anvil. Together, they shape you into someone who gets it done no matter what. Life is simple, but people love to complicate it. You have a choice every single day, excuses or results. That's it. You can't have both. You can't feed yourself excuses and expect to produce results at the same time. Excuses and results live on opposite sides of the spectrum. One builds weakness. The other builds strength. One keeps you stuck. The other moves you forward. Every decision you make is casting a vote. Am I choosing excuses or am I choosing results? The problem is, excuses feel good in the moment. They take the pressure off. They make you feel safe. They let you off the hook. But they don't produce anything. You can't deposit excuses in the bank. You can't put excuses on your RA Sum A. You can't show excuses to the world and expect respect. Results are the only proof that matters. Results are what people see. Results are what open doors. Excuses only matter to you, and even then, deep down, you know they're lies. Think about someone who's out of shape. They've got every excuse in the book. Too tired, too busy, bad genetics, no time for the gym. But at the end of the day, their body doesn't lie. Their results reflect their choices. Or look at business. You can explain to your boss or your clients why you missed a deadline, why sales are down, why you didn't follow through. But the reality is, excuses don't pay. Results do. You either delivered or you didn't. Nobody's handing out trophies for almost. Successful people live on the side of results. They know that excuses drain energy, waste time. Excuses create weakness. Results create momentum. Results create confidence. Results create respect. And when you start producing results, you don't even need to explain yourself anymore. Your work speaks for itself. People trust you because you deliver. People believe in you because they can see the evidence. You don't have to talk, you just show. The danger is most people think they can balance the two. They think they can hold on to excuses and still get results. But it doesn't work that way. Excuses always eat away at results. They slow you down. They chip away at your standards. They convince you to accept good enough instead of greatness. And over time, excuses pile up until they bury your potential. You can't serve two masters. You've got to choose. And every excuse you accept is a result you'll never see. This is why accountability is so important. When you choose results, you're also choosing to hold yourself to a standard. So you're saying, I won't let excuses run my life anymore. And that's not easy because excuses are seductive. They'll whisper to you when you're tired. They'll tempt you when things get hard. But when you're committed to results, you shut them down. You remind yourself, I can have excuses or I can have results, but not both. That mantra keeps you sharp. It keeps you moving. So ask yourself, what am I really choosing right now? When you skip the workout, you're choosing excuses. When you show up anyway, you're choosing results. When you say, I'll start tomorrow, you're choosing excuses. When you take action today, you're choosing results. It's black and white, simple, clear. Excuses or results, weakness or strength, stagnation or growth. You can't live in both worlds. You have to pick one. And the life you build will always reflect the choice you make. Your destiny isn't built in one giant moment. It's not about one big break, one big opportunity, or one dramatic turning point. Your destiny is built in the small choices you make every single day. Every morning you wake up, you're casting votes for who you're becoming. You're either choosing habits that move you closer to greatness, or you're choosing habits that drag you deeper into mediocrity. That's the truth most people don't want to face. It's not what you say you want, it's what you do daily that shapes your future. Think about it. Skipping one workout doesn't ruin you. Eating one bad meal doesn't destroy your health. Blowing off one task at work doesn't end your career. But those little choices stack up, they compound. You skip one workout, then 2, then 3, and suddenly, a year later, you're weaker, slower, and further from your goals. That's how life works. Small, repeated choices either build you or break you. The compound effect is real, and it's always working, whether for you or against you. Successful people understand this. They know discipline isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. They show up day after day doing the boring stuff, the unglamorous stuff, the hard stuff. Because they know it all adds up. They know every rep in the gym, every page read, every phone call made. It compounds into massive results over time. And that's why they win. Not because they're special, not because they're lucky, but because they're consistent with the little things that matter. Excuses, on the other hand, thrive in the moment. They trick you into thinking today doesn't matter. They tell you it's just one day, it's just one choice, it's not a big deal, but it is. Because excuses pile up. One excuse turns into 10, 10 turn into 100, and before you know it, you've built a life full of regret, not because of one big mistake, but because of thousands of tiny ones. That's the real cost of excuses. They steal your future one small decision at a time. Look back at your life. Where you are right now is the sum of the choices you've made. Your health, your career, your relationships, they're all reflections of the habits you've built. And the beautiful part is this: if you don't like where you are, you can change it. You can start making different choices today. You can stop feeding excuses and start feeding discipline. You can create a new direction for your life, not by waiting for a miracle, but by changing the daily actions that compound into results. The truth is, greatness is built quietly. It's built in the mornings you get up when you'd rather sleep. It's built in the evenings you put in the extra work when everyone else has quit. It's built in the choices nobody else sees. That's where destiny is shaped. By the time the world notices your results, the work has already been done, behind the scenes, in private, through thousands of disciplined choices stacked on top of each other. That's what creates success that lasts. So stop underestimating your daily actions. Stop believing the lie that today doesn't matter. Every choice you make is a step forward or a step backward. Every action compounds into your future. Your destiny isn't waiting for you someday. It's being written right now, in this moment, with the choices you're making. The question is simple: are you compounding greatness or are you compounding regret? Because one way or another, the future you're building is being shaped right now, choice by choice, day by day.